The Seattle Mariners have been one of Major League Baseball's weirdest teams this season in the sense that not much has gone right for them on the individual player front, but as a team, they're first place in what was supposed to be a stacked American League West division. So we'll break down their recent play as of late and much more in this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. What's up, everybody? Welcome into this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis. Before we get into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and give us your thoughts on the recent play as of late from the Seattle Mariners. They have been one of baseball's weirder teams in the sense that they haven't gotten much out of Julio Rodriguez. One of their big-time acquisitions in the offseason, Jorge Polanco, hasn't really lived up to that hype. Yet they're still first place in the American League West, ahead of the likes of the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers by a pretty significant margin as well. They're the only team in that division over 500. They're 38-30, and they're playing pretty well as of late, despite not getting much out of their offense. So let's take a look at the result from last night. This is what we saw out of Raleigh in the 9th inning yesterday. And you can just see, I am blurring it out due to copyright restrictions, but he hit that walk-off grand slam. I don't know how well you guys could see that. Let's take one more look at it. And it's hard to see, but Raleigh hit a walk-off grand slam yesterday against the bottom feeder Chicago White Sox, and they picked up a win despite not scoring a run in the first 7 innings of that contest. And this is the weirdness of the Seattle Mariners. They've been so good in the pitching and defense department that we kind of gloss over their offensive struggles, but they're first place, and this is a first place team in the division that was supposed to be one of the best in Major League Baseball, but yet they still fired their entire hitting staff. They fired their offensive coordinator, and they got rid of a lot of different pieces. So let's take a look here. Raleigh, number 29 of the Seattle Mariners, celebrates his walk-off grand slam to beat the Chicago White Sox at T-Mobile Park on June 10th, 2024 in Seattle, Washington. The Mariners were scoreless through 7 innings, but won 8-4. And that's been the weirdness of this team. They haven't gotten anything out of their offense, which is, not that big of a deal when you have pitching like this at this caliber. Logan Gilbert has been a true ace for them this season. He's been fantastic. Luis Castillo got off to a pretty rough start, but he's regained his form, and he's looked like Luis Castillo of old. Bryce Miller has been a pretty nice revelation for them as well this season. And George Kirby, after a slow start for him as well, he's started to turn the tides. And the thing that stands out to me about this Seattle Mariners pitching staff is just how they limit base runners. Look at the whip on the right-hand side of your screen. 0.97 for Logan Gilbert, which is absolutely elite. Luis Castillo at a 1.616. That's probably due to more walks than a lot of pitchers. Bryce Miller, 1.02, and 1.02 for George Kirby, who gives up a fair amount of hits, but only 7 walks given up this season. So they're getting great production out of their bullpen. Andres Munoz is one of the best closers in baseball, throws 103 miles an hour, so they're good on the pitching front, and we knew that they would be. They have 3 legitimate frontline starters in George Kirby, Luis Castillo, and Logan Gilbert. Maybe you could call Gilbert a 2, but he's definitely pitched like a number 1 this year. And the more shocking thing is that they're first place in a division with the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros, who were expected to be really good. We know the Astros have been one of the more elite teams in the past decade or so, and the Texas Rangers won the World Series last year, and not much really changed in terms of their roster. So they were both expected to be good. They've been huge disappointments. And what makes this even more surprising that the Mariners are first place, it's this right here. And this is Julio Rodriguez's stats from year to year. So you can see he was elite in his rookie season. Really, really good. .854 OPS. Tailed off a little bit towards like last season, but still, he still hit 32 home runs, drove in 100. And after a slow start that he had last year, he really turned it around in the second half. And then this year, the power is just not there for him for whatever reason. He's got 5 home runs. He's got 6 doubles, no triples. And the slugging percentage, it's 349, which is way below his career average of 468 over this first 2+ seasons. So the OPS below 700, I know that offense is down pretty much league-wide around Major League Baseball, but they need more out of Julio Rodriguez if they want to be competitive in the playoffs. And baseball this season has been extremely weird because there are 10 teams that have a record over 500. The Seattle Mariners are one of those teams with a 38-30 record, and they've managed to stay the course despite terrible offense. And let's take a look at the standings one more time. They're 38-30, but their run differential is only +10. So they're +8 in the wins department, but they're +10 in the runs department. So they're winning a lot of close ball games and not scoring too many runs. So this is their blueprint for success. It has been for the past couple of years. It's a very good pitching, a very good bullpen, and getting offense wherever you can out of Julio Rodriguez and company. But J-Rod has been nowhere to be found for the majority of this season. So I'm wondering, if he turns it around, how scary is this Mariners team going to be? Or is he not going to turn it around? That's another question mark that I have that has yet to be answered. But they're a fun team to watch. Maybe not on a nightly basis if you're a Mariners fan, because they must make you crazy with the lack of offense and just lifelessness in general on the offensive side of things. But I love their pitching staff. I love what they're doing defense-wise. I think they are one of the more exciting teams when Julio Rodriguez is clicking in the batter's box, but he hasn't this season, and he's supposed to be an offensive star. There's no excuses for him to be struggling and having an OPS under 700. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense how he could have numbers that bad. I know baseball, the offense is down, but still, he's got to be better. And if the Mariners want any chance of being successful this season, he's got to step it up big time. Like, you cannot be putting up that kind of production and expecting Cal Raleigh to carry you offensively, even though he has for the majority of the season. He's got 12 home runs, and he's been playing really well for them lately. He got that grand slam last night. They're getting bailed out by the fact that Cal Raleigh has been one of the top 5 catchers in baseball this year. There's not much debate about that. So he's been great. Julio Rodriguez has not been great. And they have the prospect capital to swing a big deal. I made a video a couple of days ago on Luis Robert saying how he could be on the trade block potentially. That's a name to look out for the Seattle Mariners. Now, the White Sox came out and said they want a Juan Soto type of package for Robert. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's realistic from the Chicago White Sox, because Robert cannot stay on the field, and he's not near the caliber of player that Juan Soto is, just showing itself this year. So I think Robert can definitely be a target for the Seattle Mariners, and that could vault them into contention, especially considering the sizable lead that they have in the AL West. As you can see right there, 5.5 games. We're nearing the midway-ish mark of the season. That's a pretty sizable margin that they have right now. And I don't know if Texas is going to turn it around. They just don't have the pitching to get it done. Same thing with Houston. I don't see them having the pitching to turn it around, and they've had a lot of guys struggle in that lineup. So it's going to be a very interesting race from here on out. But make sure to stay tuned for some more content tomorrow on 3 Up, 3 Down. We're going to be posting daily throughout the week, so you won't want to miss it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and let us know your thoughts on the play of the Seattle Mariners this season. Have they been good? Have they been bad? How would you assess their play about 70 games into the season? So thank you guys so much for tuning in and making it this far. I was your host, Peter Vryonis, and until then, enjoy the baseball, folks.